Hi, my name is Sierra Holderman, and the topic that I'm presenting today is Indigenous people. Some of the things that I hope to accomplish by the end of this presentation is the development of a better understanding of who Indigenous people are, what our society can do to help these individuals overcome oppression, and what has the United States of America done to help Indigenous people. So, who are Indigenous people? Well, in the year 2020, according to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Indigenous peoples are inheritors and practitioners of unique cultures and ways of relating to people and the environment. They have retained social, cultural, economic, and political characteristics that are distinct from those of the dominant societies in which they live. Native people groups have looked for acknowledgement, their characters, lifestyle, and their right to conventional terrains, domains, and normal assets for quite a long time. Yet at the beginning of time, their freedoms have consistently been abused. Native people groups, also known as Indigenous people, today are arguably among the most hindered and vulnerable gatherings of individuals on the planet. So, why is it important to learn about? This topic is important to learn about because it has been suppressed from media, classrooms, and everyday conversations for over 200 years now. In addition to the Indigenous people being one of the worst treated groups of people in the United States and living in conditions where their rights, health, and lives are being not only taken away, but also deliberately ignored. Their people are dying every day and are fighting very hard to keep their culture and communities alive while being ignored, and bringing awareness to their situation is crucial to saving their sacred population. Now, according to Amnesty International in 2019, Indigenous peoples have a special relationship with the land on which they lived for generations, sometimes tens of thousands of years. They possess crucial knowledge about how to manage natural resources sustainably and act as guardians or custodians of the land for the next generation. Losing their land means a loss of identity. And now I have a video for you guys that will touch more base on what exactly Columbus Day is and why it's starting to be more of Indigenous Peoples Day.
Jewel for Christmas. And at first, I thought it looked kind of crazy. I didn't really understand what the
Columbus Day. In recent years, we've seen a correction for Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. It's called different things, but the gist is Columbus didn't discover America. In fact, he never set foot on North America. His rise in mythology in America actually came in the late 1800s when Italian Americans who were discriminated against because they weren't yet considered white and were thought of as dirty and lazy and less than, thought that honoring Columbus, who was also Italian, might gain them some respect in society. As time has gone on, we've learned more about the stories surrounding Columbus, from destruction to disease, yet we hold so tightly onto false narratives that suggesting that Columbus, who's seen as a patriotic figure, is flawed is hard for some folks to swallow. So rather than get in the loop of the back and forth about Columbus Day or not, I want us to acknowledge and focus on the history of Indigenous people whose stories so often go ignored and marginalized. Ask yourself some questions. Whose land are you on? How were they taken from their land? How do you continue to benefit from that? If you don't know the answers to those questions, think about why. Who does it benefit for you not to know? And what can you do today, either monetarily or with your time, to ensure that their stories remain alive? And if you have kids or work with kids, encourage them to be a part of this exploration so that they can see the richness of Indigenous people early on. Make the national holiday about celebrating Indigenous people rather than honoring Columbus.
So what this video was talking about is Columbus Day took over what should be Indigenous People Day. Now, 5 important lessons that we as a society could learn from Indigenous people are: 1, money is not the key to happiness. I feel that within our American society, we strive for being the richest person in the world and do not take the time to sit back and appreciate the things that truly make us happy. 2, spend less time working and more time with family and friends. I feel that we Americans have a hard time spending less time working and more time with family and friends because at such a young age we're told to always be hard workers. 3, grow strong relationships with your community. I feel that in our society this is not prioritized because half of the time we do not even know who our next door neighbors are. 4, give what you can and spare to others who are in need. And then 5, prioritize peace and quality. So these 5 lessons can build a strong foundation within any society, and personally I think that would do wonders in our own backyards. So 5 key issues for Indigenous people are: 1, poor health; 2, lower levels of education; 3, inadequate housing and crowded living conditions; 4, higher rates of unemployment; and 5, higher levels of incarceration. Now, what has the United States of America done for Indigenous people? Well, according to NPR, on October 11th, 2021, President Biden issued a proclamation on Friday to observe this October 11th day as one to honor Native Americans, their resilience, and their contributions to American society throughout history. Even as they faced assimilation, discrimination, and genocide spanning generations, the move shifts focus from Columbus Day, the federal holiday celebrating Christopher Columbus, which shares the same date as Indigenous People Day this year. This is phenomenal news for Indigenous people because they are finally being heard after years and years of discrimination. And personally, my opinion on the topic of Indigenous people is that these individuals are not heard enough in society. We do not learn a whole lot about their culture unless we seek knowledge of it ourselves. I also believe that Indigenous Peoples Day should have been deemed a national holiday a long time ago. These individuals have lived here longer than anyone in the United States and deserve to be recognized. And these are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope it resided with you in some way, shape, or form.